Checkity, check, check, check. Let's see about this. Check, check, check. Yeah, looks like it might be working. Be a little warm today. It's freezing this morning, so probably should have ran the AC, but whatever. I still got to get rid of all the Stream Elements stuff. I'm not really using any of that. Oh, excuse you. I don't know. Would you guys hate it if I turn the AC on? Let me know if it gets too ugly. I know that's pretty loud, but if it gets too ugly, I'll turn that off. I don't know. A little toasty in here. I make a very crappy Arizonan at this point, I tell you. All right. Hopefully this is all working. Welcome to Evidence-Based Audio number 196. And this is Ghosted. So first of all...
okay, so today I've decided to put...
I wanted to talk about... And hopefully it shows up again. We're still having the Helix native problem. I got a little bit back and forth with the techs over at line 6. I don't think we're getting anywhere. But let's see. Where is... One second, sorry, I thought I had this ready to go, but I do not. Okay. So I've got a couple threads like this. Does anyone make a wireless that can handle EMGs? And let's just read part of this. I've tried several, including line 6s, who are kind of in that market, but still overload quite audibly with an 85 or 707. Those are different pickups. EMG claims for most of the 9-volt models a max peak of around 4.5 volts or a little over 13 dBV. I'm not sure I'm looking at the right numbers, as similarly loud and similarly overload the line 6 relay G50 Duncan Blackout Bridge 7-string is listed at 1600 millivolts or 4.08 dBV. One of the cheaper Shure digital units, the PGX D14 lists of 10 dBV max input given its 26 decibels of padding. It is very hard to find similar specifications for other units, especially the Line 6 Sennheiser and Boss units for me so far. Am I reading the EMG output numbers right? I've seen unofficial sources with their dBV peak a lot lower for the 85s and 707s. And, okay, here's the crazy thing, all right? Nobody, sorry, 1 second. Let me, All right, sorry about that. Okay, so the crazy thing is I am not a professional guitar player. I don't know that I've ever been paid to play a guitar. I've played guitar in my capacity as getting albums done and stuff, but not specifically as a guitar player. These wirelesses have been around for forever. These pickups have been around for forever. How am I the one who notices this problem? And how it's crazy. Like, everybody's saying, "Oh, there wasn't a problem. There's not a problem," and I found it, and I can demonstrate it every single time. We got a lot of numbnuts who say just stupid things. Anyway, I'm trying to find. I think Line 6 got back to me and said that it'd be weird if something could actually overload it, but I can show it overloading every single time. And I find this is I keep running into this situation where an outsider, and I guess this is kind of like what's it, Daryl Ray or whatever, his outsider test of faith. As an outsider, I keep finding these errors in these things, but it's just bizarre with these guys they speak so knowledgeably about everything. Oh, you can hear the minutest little change because of this piece of wood versus that piece of wood in this pickup, and yet they never heard that these wirelesses were distorting. Are you kidding me? That doesn't even make any sense at all. Some real dumbasses are saying, "Oh, you got a volume knob on your guitar, use it." You know how repeatable that would be, right? I mean, come on. So I had a couple other threads. Let's see if this one has some weird noises I'm getting from the Line 6 wirelesses. But you know what? They run at 2.4 gigahertz, I think, and so I'm not super surprised by that. Sorry again. Hold on. All right, sorry, I'm trying to get some symbols. There's still nothing for sale. Anyway, yeah, I'm getting like this crackling sound, but I think that the Line 6 is run at 2.4 gigahertz. That would make sense. Let's see. So I posted some videos up. I did get some responses from Line 6 on the forums. I got some responses from tech support, but yeah, this is weird. I did a video where I showed the difference between the Line 6 relay series, which, in general made a more high fidelity signal than the Shure PGX D14, which is like a lower end digital Shure wireless. But the Shure didn't distort and audibly sounded better than the Line 6s. To me, sounded more accurate. But if you were to just test square waves, the Line 6 units were actually closer, except for when they distorted, which I guess kind of defeats the whole purpose. Anyway, that issue is still happening, and I just want to emphasize how weird it is that I, as an outsider, am the one that finds this stuff, and I get attacked for it, which is the craziest part. But so anyway, let's move on from there. Let me turn off this AC, maybe. So this, I want to take a look at really quick a video from came out 2 weeks ago, I guess, from Agu Fish. This guy, I haven't seen too much of his videos, It looks like he does a lot of guitar stuff, and I think he does like some modding and things. Looks pretty cool. But he's got the best and worst import guitar brands. Okay, so let's ignore that he's running the established titles ad. We're gonna try and skip that. But so he's doing a video on the best and worst import guitar brands, and even that I've had trouble with this definition. But let me just play this for a second.
Put together an almost definitive import guitar brand tier list. How do the import guitar brands stack up right now? Let's take a closer look. Now, last tier video we went through.
So first of all, what does import guitar brands mean? Like, I don't know. I hope this isn't going to be a big surprise to you guys, but most of all these American brands or whatever country you live in brands that you buy are imports. You guys may or may not know that I'm a huge fan of the Fanatical. Oh my God. Sorry about this. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. So this is man, you got so much stuff going on. Got internet not working. Can't buy anything right now. And got a fire inspector through here, so hopefully we're not in trouble. We'll see about that. Okay, so anyway, when it comes to these import brands, all your guitars, pretty much, like any good guitars, the chances are they're made by this company called World Musical Instruments in Korea, or were. That's changing now. But they were making most of your brands, your ESPs, Fenders, all this kind of stuff. And so what do you even mean by an import guitar brand? Do you mean a brand that never had an American shop or something? I don't even understand the definition here. But let's go on.
Through about 80 of the best and the worst Epiphones. Link below the like button you can check out after this video if you haven't seen it yet. Definitely worth your time. Now this is a bit more of a difficult list.
And I still, this whole brand thing where people believe that if it says a certain name on it, it's going to magically be better. I don't get it, but people are weird.
To put together, because like a $100 Epiphone SL is a completely different guitar in terms of specs, in terms of quality, in terms of feel, to a $900 Epiphone 1959 Les Paul Standard, for example. $100 Harley Bentons aren't even made in the same factory as the $400 Fusions, not even the same country. And that situation is similar with a lot of brands. Jackson is the same brand, but different tier guitars are made in completely different places.
Yeah, and this is another thing. So like if you bought from like Rondo, for instance, you could get some Chinese made and some Korean made, but it's not like the Chinese aren't capable of making a killer guitar, or the Koreans aren't capable of making a crappy guitar. It's there's a lot more to it than that.
So I'll do my best to try to rank people import brands, and these are ones I've actually tried, so I can act. Squier is one of the first brands, if not the first brand, that springs to mind whenever anyone talks about budget guitar brands. This is the brand that most of us probably even started on.
So is Squier a brand? I mean, to me, if Squier is just a Fender Squier, and I'd love for somebody one day to explain to me the difference between a Squier and a Strat, meaningful differences. You can put different pickups in them or whatever, I guess, but it's not like physics is changing based on what brand your guitar is.
Modded to shit, and I love that thing. Now, Squier is kind of a difficult one to rank because they've been around for a while and quality has not always been consistent. In fact, even the models themselves haven't been super consistent. They've been around for decades, and apparently the Squier Bullet Strat that I have has never officially existed.
Let me see if I have, can bring up my cam real quick. What is that? It's my GoPro cam. Okay, that'll work. Hold on. So I have this Fender Squier 5-string bass, and I look on the back here. This is a Indonesian made Squier, but as far as I know, the Squiers are made by World as well, and this is what I have come to understand is that during COVID, the Korean factory for World is pretty much moving to Indonesia, and they've actually had a line there for a while. And if you've tried one of those Harley Benton Amaroks, to me, they're pretty good. And those were coming from the Indonesian one. This Squier right here was coming from the Indonesian one, this Fender 5-string I've got. And it's pretty damn good, man. You know me, I can't stand Fender products. It just seems like an extra price on top of a guitar I don't want anyway. But I don't know that Squier's a brand anyway. It's Fender. It's made by Fender, right? I mean, is that a brand?
Existed in this configuration, but lately Squier's been pumping out some cool guitars. The newest iteration of the Affinity series added a Tele Deluxe and a bunch of metallic finishes. The Contemporary series is sick. They've added roasted maple necks to a lot of their models, and yeah,
this guy's like obsessed with roasted maple necks. I guess that's like his version of oil slick. I love oil slick, so maybe that's why.
Other import, man.
So
they're making roasted maple on budget guitars genuinely mainstream. Guitars like the Contemporary Active Jazzmaster or the Strat Special are really cool, and they're originals, not just affordable versions people buy if they can't afford a quote real Fender. Although they do that as well in like the classic.
this background music he has just ends up sounding like noise. It was like fizzing out.
5 series, which are fantastic mod platforms. That's the other thing. Squires are so modular, you can go full Ship of Theseus, replacing
Yeah, like what is different between the Squire and a Strat meaningfully? I mean, come on.
everything great. The sheer variety, contemporary act about build and fed deck and popular Jensen established titles.
Okay,
we
so,
move.
So he's put this in S tier, and I'm gonna definitely not have nothing to do with this established titles stuff right here. Let me get out of here. Okay.
There are some very split opinions on Epiphone. A big reason for that is Epiphone's high-end catalog is very, very different from its low-end. And they have D-shaped neck profiles and poly finishes instead of C-shapes and nitro. So if you're expecting an Epiphone to feel exactly like a Gibson,
yeah, so here it is again. Like Gibson, Epiphone, what's the difference? I mean, if you make the same guitar, it's the same guitar. If you make a different guitar, it's a different guitar. But what is the functional difference by having that name on it versus another name? And as far as I know, I think the Epiphones are made by World too, so those are probably going to Indonesia. But like I say, so far the Indonesian guitars, yeah, Poo Ninja, you got a Harley Benton HP42. Was that a Korean one or an Indonesian one? As far as I know, these Indonesian ones have been pretty damn good. And as a herpetologist, Indonesia is my Mecca and my Medina, but as a humanitarian, not really thrilled about sending money there, but so far these guitars have been pretty good. And as a humanitarian, maybe the more trade we have with Indonesia, the better the human rights will get.
it just won't. It just will not. But if you take away that expectation, they make some great shit at the upper end. I don't really recommend their lower end stuff. And that's why.
So it may be that the Epiphone's lower end stuff is made in China or made by bad, not as good builders, or not quality control is paid for as well.
I'm going to put them in A. Listen, I'm a big Epiphone fan.
So
this
still
channel
an A
is
tier.
comments kind of lacking relative to other brands in the same price point. But when you get to those higher tier ones, like the collaboration, really great Matt from ID accounts pre-order. But yeah, that mode has been pony, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But when you're a one-trick pony in a crowded niche, which they are,
Kramers.
they're in the same 80s nostalgia super strat category
Now,
as
I
Charvel
think
and
Kramer's
EVH.
made in the
You have
World
to be
Factory
ultra
as well.
So
I don't know that any of these are really
what
that
I like
different.
about PRS SEs, they tend to be more affordable.
Okay, so PRS, this is one of them. Like, never mind that Paul Reed Smith and his ridiculous wood myth claims. I'm sure World was building the PRSs since forever, but I know that he got his stuff sent in Indonesia a little bit before most everybody, and he's probably got it set up pretty well.
Than
See where he
other
puts
LTD
these.
and IC is still 800 for the flametop version, 700 for electronics, and sometimes tuning stability. You're gonna want to replace that nut at least, if not the tuners as well. And sometimes the pickups can be kind of muddy, or Custom 24 incredible. So in my experience, they aren't as consistently reliable
put it
out
in
of the
B
box
tier.
compared to some other brands. But even if you have to fix them up so they stay in tune,
Yeah, for the price and the name, I could see putting it in a lower tier than the Squires, but I don't know.
Tonti, Mark Holbana, basically UED is an instant nailed on S tier. Let me explain. For a few years now, they've not only been the most consistent
Okay, so
import
the
brand, but every
LTDs,
guitar
like,
I've
that's
tried
what
from
I've got. One of these ESPs with the I don't know the difference either. Is it an LTD when it's not made in Japan? I guess. But I mean, these are excellent guitars. I got my Oil Slick LTD with the Floyd Pro tremolo and all that stuff. I mean, I love these things. I challenge you to make a better guitar. I can see you making a different guitar, but
from them has been to a standard.
But again, made it by World Music. In fact, let's look at mine. This is, oh boy. Let's see if I can. So here's my Oil Slick, Floyd Rose, the whole deal. This is my LTD. And we can see on the back here. It's made in Korea, and it's got the W for world, as far as I know. So that is a Korean LTD. One of the last ones you can get. As far as I know, they're all going to be Indonesian now for the LTDs.
No one else can match. And in 2022, that applies all the way down the line. And because of their size and reputation, they're the market leader when it comes to progressive features. When they adopt something, it causes a shift in the market. Everyone else starts adopting it too. They were one of the first to start putting Fishman Fluence into production guitars. Now they're everywhere. They were one of the first to install Evertunes in production guitars. Now every quote-unquote metal brand needs to have at least one too. And as of last year, all their 1000 series guitars have stainless steel frets across their entire lineup. The prices, yeah, inflation has definitely hit them as it's hit everyone, but they aren't even outrageous compared to other brands if you line them up spec for spec. And the neck shapes are some of the most comfortable in the guitar world. Easy S tier, especially at the 1000 series level. LTD, man, I'm so glad this brand is still around. I heard that they'd gone up for sale, wasn't quite sure what was going on.
Okay, so this is Agile. I don't know if should I spill the beans? We actually made a bid for picking up the Agile line. I would have loved that. We still might talk about it, but I don't know if you've seen things kind of slowed down for them. But Rondo Music is pretty much, Rondo is the importer for Agile, whatever, here in America. Actually, I think that's the only place you can actually buy them anywhere. They're taking orders for new Agiles. If I go to Rondo, we were really worried that this was going to go away. I really loved my Agiles. Let's go. So you know me, I just care about the 7 strings, right? So if we go to guitars, electric guitars, 7-string guitars, they're taking orders for some 7 strings, but look, there's really nothing there. There's no Interceptor Pro 725s, whatever.
Going on with the future of the company, but they make some of the best affordable carved top single cuts out there.
See, I don't care about their carved top single cuts. I care about what they make that competes directly with the ESP. In fact, sorry, I'm going to do this again to you. Oh, wow. I got my full cam on there. Hey, that'll do. So here is my Agile 725. I've got a 725. I got a 727. I have a Interceptor. This is an Interceptor Pro. I have a 28-inch or 29-inch Interceptor Pro. This one's got the, you're probably not going to be able to see this, the South Korean world musical stamp on it. And I love this guitar. It's sad. I play this guitar more than my LTD. This guitar was a fraction of the price. Neck through body, came with EMGs. This thing is unreal. I love this guitar. I've recently changed the Floyd bridge to a Goto bridge. I think they're better. But aside from that, to me, these are the best guitars you could get. I mean, same as the LTDs. They just cost less and they're easier to find. Let me see if I can get back to my right monitor. Sorry. Yeah, those Agiles are unreal. He's talking about these Gibson things. People call these Chibsons. They're not. These are Korean guitars.
599 made in a rep.
But I don't care. I mean, there's plenty of Les Pauls out there. But if you notice, the Agile version of the Les Paul is an actual neck through. It's not one of these stupid set neck glue on whatever block thingies that just kind of almost as crappy to play as on like a Fender block heel. These are neck through bodies.
Neck through. The one I had was a heavy guitar, but upper fret access was so good. I also tried one with a Floyd that was really fun as well. They do a lot of headless and ridiculous extended range ones these days, like a fucking 10-string fan fret for no reason. Love it. I guess I'll go with B tier because
So here, okay, let's see why he says why.
For no reason. Love it. I guess I'll go with B tier because the colors and tops really stand out. Quality just tends to be a little hit or miss with them. Then Sterling. Sterling's another.
Okay, what is the quality that's hit or miss? Like it's true. I've seen an Agile come in one time where the tremolo cavity plate wasn't routed; it was just put on. But for every guitar, when you buy it, there's a picture of the actual guitar you're buying or at least it was back in the day. And this was, you could tell that this thing was up there, that the plate wasn't put all the way on, and it had a cheaper price. The crazy one is I've got a beautiful, let me grab it. Oh, my 28-inch, my 28-inch, 29-inch guitar. I love this guitar so much. I can't play it anymore. This was the only guitar I played for the longest time. But now I'm so used to that super slinky 25-inch one. So this one had, you're not even gonna be able to see it. And I've scratched the hell out of this thing anyway, but somewhere around here, oh, right here, there's a dent. I mean, you can't even see it. It didn't crack the paint or anything, but it was like $200 off on the site. So I don't know. I've gotten exactly the quality that I've expected from these every single time. So I don't know. Put this in, to me, the Agile is definitely an S tier brand. I mean, I guess if you got a bad one or whatever, but I'm sure you could get a bad LTD or ESP. And we know for sure as hell that we get bad Gibsons and Fenders all the time. I would definitely put that sucker in S tier. I don't know why this guy's like that, but you know, who knows?
They're weird one where the rank could vary wildly depending on whether you're
and
talking.
So these kind of go through guitars that you're probably not going to really run into much.
Excellent brand, part of the ESP family, distributed exclusively in Japan. And to be honest,
so there's also these Edwards, which again, these got to be an S tier. I mean, if you like that kind of guitar.
They played, got some nice feel, inexpensive, exchangeable stats tier all day. And I thought about including Grassroots in the tier list as well, because they look amazing value for the money. They're ESP Japan's budget brand, made in Korea. They have all the correct shapes, ebony boards for less than 500. And I don't 200, but they are not their cost over the place brands. Now 10S, and this pains me as well because we go way back. Well, I'm gonna have to put them in C as well. And I currently have a couple of 10S guitars. I really like them. Custom built guitars, 7-piece of shit. D tier for this brand. There is no excuse for any guitar this bad to have left the warehouse. And then this would usually be another hard one to rank, but I'm gonna put Ibanez in A tier. I know, that's probably a big surprise to regular viewers of the channel because I've talked a lot of shit about Ibanez. But the reason I'm putting it in A tier is because whether it's the $1,000 premium series or the much more affordable Geo or AZ Essentials, the quality is so solid across the line. Definitely wasn't always the case, but recently that's been my experience with them. And they're not my...
We know that Ibanez is making a ton of S tier instruments, right? Anyway, I'll probably get out of this video. I just was interested to see he had the Agile so low, you know, like, come on, dude, but whatever. So here's Cort.
So Cort basically just takes some of those popular guitars, makes minor tweaks, and sells them for a lower price. Nice, nothing wrong with that, I guess. From the ones I've tried, quality has been pretty decent. I feel like as a house brand, they could be better for what they're pricing them at, or the price could be lower. And while there is a lot of variety, there's no cohesion to the lineup. I don't know, man. Cort just seems all over the place. I'm gonna put them in B because they're alright. Now, Wish.com. Under no circumstances should you order a guitar from Wish.com. I know it's tempting. Inflation sucks. Everything is expensive except for Wish.com guitars, but you may as well pull that money out of an ATM and light it on fire. At least then you might feel like a bit of a baller instead of an absolute idiot from buying a guitar from Wish.com. My luthier has described this as paying full price for a carnival prize guitar. Literally everything about this guitar, besides the color, is pretty trash. The color is cool, I will give it that, but everything else is a genuine waste of raw materials. Neck is twisted, fretwork non-existent, electronics are scratchy, pickups weak as fuck. It's like the Spirit Airlines of guitars. Super cheap initial cost.
I still have such trouble going by brands. You know, to me, if your guitar was made by World, it's probably going to be pretty good. Get the kind of guitar you want, and they'll make you a good one of it. And I'll tell you, the people who worked at those factories are fanatics, and it's just like the Japanese in the 80s and 90s making guitars. They were fanatics, man. I'm sure there's still plenty. And it's really looking like the Indonesian one is more of the same. I mean, it's the same people running it, but it's a new workforce. But they seem to be doing pretty good. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah, sorry that there's so many interruptions in this. I'm a little stressed. We had a fire inspector here, so you know how that goes. Yeah, so he's Food Ninja's saying my Gem Junior arrived in perfect condition, ready to rock straight out of the box from Sweetwater. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's crazy because Sweetwater's really carrying a lot of guitars, and a lot of people are buying their guitars from Sweetwater, which is kind of surprising to hear, but that's the way it's going now. And I don't know, man. Ibanez's have always. I think there was some crap Ibanez's like Chinese made, but again, the Chinese are perfectly capable of making something good. It's just they made them in a way that weren't that great. I think some Ibanez's, but in general, were pretty good, and even their crappier lines like the Geos and stuff were pretty solid. I'm not surprised if the Gem is awesome. Indonesian built. Okay, so I wonder. So was Ibanez built in world music? I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, so I'm gonna move on to this announcement from Ghost Cable. So this is just gonna read some of this. So this is from Ghost Cable themselves. Hello, everyone. After 6 years of development, I'm excited to finally announce the launch of Ghost Cable and ghostcable.com. I'll use this thread to discuss our current and future products and to also field any questions or criticisms. In order to make our remarkable sounding cable available to as many producers as possible, we have decided to launch the same 3 cable types across 2 different lines, Ghost and Ghost Plus. Ghost and Ghost Plus use the exact same Italian-made cable, but Ghost Plus has some additional advantages that further improve the sound of the cable in subtle ways to most producers. Okay, so already, yeah, that's your extension cords. This guy is just actually the sprinkler inspector, but okay, so listen to this. Let me write this again. The Ghost Plus cable has some additional advantages that further improve the sound of the cable in subtle ways to most producers. Okay, so first of all, it's going to improve the sound of the cable. What does that mean? Less noise, flatter bandwidth, less distortion, less line loss to most producers. So are you saying that it's a sound that some people can hear and some can't? I mean, that's always the way to hide your magical stuff. And actually, let's be honest, we usually talk about cables when we're talking about Magic, right? Or mic preamps or whatever, but it's so often about cables. So the way you market these things is that, it's obviously a better cable, but if you can't hear it, you need to work on your hearing. And so it's like it's putting the onus on the consumer that if you don't hear their magical snake oil, there must be something wrong with you. Not that there's no difference in this cable or whatever. In subtle ways. If it's subtle, do we care? Like what subtle way? What way are you talking about? I mean, these all we need is measurements. And so now he says, and perhaps more significant ways to critical listeners with highly resolving systems. So if you don't hear the difference in the cable, maybe you're not a critical listener, or maybe you have crappy gear. Ghost uses industry standard Neutrik XLR, RCA, TS, and TRS connectors, while Ghost Plus uses custom-made connectors with pure tellurium copper contacts. In a future post, I will discuss advantages of using tellurium copper contacts over bronze and brass. I hope I'm saying that right. We will initially offer 3 cable types across both Ghost and Ghost Plus lines: Ghost Analog, Ghost Digital, and Ghost Instrument. Ghost Analog is our flagship cable, a mastering-grade analog interconnect cable that has been used in dozens of mastering and mixing rooms and across thousands of songs since its creation in 2016. Ghost Cable started on the sound of the original Ghost Beta cable, which had a glossy black jacket and is no longer made. Over the past 6 years, I have shipped over a kilometer of Ghost Beta for free to producers and engineers all over the world in return for feedback on its performance. The overwhelmingly positive feedback has inspired us all the way to our public launch. Okay, again, these are all claims, and any of these claims could be confirmed or at least claimed properly with actual measurements. Like, what is different about these cables? You could easily show if these cables are different. You could show a regular cable versus your cable. You can show the difference. When you send this cable for free and you're asking for feedback, you're already selecting some bias into this product. You're asking, of course these guys want to give you some good feedback. They're happy that you sent them a free cable, even if they're trying to be honest. Okay, so Ghost Digital is a true 110 ohm AES SPDIF cable that is capable of lossless and jitterless transmission of well over 100 meters at quad sample rates. Unlike pure copper wire of Ghost Analog, Ghost Digital uses nickel-plated copper with an added foil shield in addition to the braided shield to achieve its strict AES rating. When used as an analog cable, the sound of Ghost Digital is distinctly different, yet complementary to the more robust and neutral-sounding Ghost Analog. What the hell does any of this mean? All right. So the AES does have some specs on digital cable. I don't know if I'm really going to be able to bring this up. So I'm just typing in Google AES specs for digital cables. I'm sure it's going to have a bunch of ads. Yep. Okay. AES specs for digital audio cable require a sampling rate from 32 kilohertz to 193 kilohertz, bandwidth from 4.096 megahertz to 24.5 megahertz, and an impedance of 110 ohms at plus or minus 20%. These are very broad specifications, allowing everything from 88 ohm cables to 132 ohm cables. So they've got a spec to it, but if you've ever accidentally used your digital cable as a mic cable, if it's an XLR, you've noticed that it works just fine, right? These guys are claiming that they're going to sound different, and listen to the words they're using. Distinctly different, yet complementary to the more robust and neutral sounding Ghost Analog. Really, what's the difference? Give us the measurements. Due to its sweeter high frequency and slightly scooped mid-range, there may be times when pairing microphones to preamps or when tuning playback components where Ghost Digital is sonically preferred during analog transmission. Now there's Ghost Instruments. So this is, now you're going to tap into the excessive paranoia and conspiracy theory thinking of the average guitar player. I mean, you could hit it right out of the park with this one because you know the guitar players are going to be nuts. It's a single pole, unbalanced version of Ghost Analog. They share near identical materials and geometries, making them sound much closer to one another than to Ghost Digital. Due to how well a passive pickup into an active DI or amplifier reveals the effect of a particular cable versus another. Really? Nobody's ever been able to show that one. The feedback we have received from professional musicians using Ghost Instrument for the first time have been the most rewarding to read, of course, because these conspiracy nut jobs are going to have these long narratives of just flowing poetry and prose about how these things make their guitars sound. If you ever read like when guitar players talk about stuff that should be objective, it's hilarious. When they feel a performance is altered in the slightest way, veteran players who know intimately how their rig sounds can often verbalize such a change with unwavering conviction. You know who runs away from ABX tests faster than anybody is these veteran players. Because when you call them out on, oh yeah, no, sorry, that was a humbucker, not your single coil, and they didn't even hear that one. Most of the times you can hear that, but every once in a while you catch them on that. Admittedly, sometimes the extremely fast and clear sound of a Ghost Instrument is a bit sobering for certain instrument plus amp combinations, but the vast majority feedback has been positive. So, these are all claims, and these are claims that so easily could be shown with some numbers, with just some tests. Sounds like a 4-inch driver being called an omnidirectional subwoofer. Yeah. So let's see. So he says, this is from somebody who's been deleted. Another product for those who can hear differences in the sound of wires. My only thought is that to justify the name, they should be invisible, like an old girlfriend who ghosted you. It's interesting that you feel the need to explain contact pins, but no explanation of tellurium or its benefits. I guess the word raises the price, huh? Yeah, a little bit snarky. Yeah, what is transparent overdrive is called compression. While trying to find an explanation for what I was hearing when I switched between different conductor metals on the same exact cable, I discovered the International Annealed Copper Standard, which rates the percentage of conductivity as a material has relative to copper. And so they're showing the conductivity of different metals. What's not being said here is there's only so much conductivity you need before the thing is transparent, for the most part. So here, okay, so I go on. This is what I asked for. Can you offer real world evidence that these are better than something else? And so here's the guy who just made all those claims. And what does he answer that with?